Good evening. Welcome to the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for September 11, 2017. As a matter of course, if you have a cell phone, please place it on vibrate or turn it off in order to keep the meeting forward. As a professional privilege, I'd like to take a moment to observe a moment of silence for the victims of September 11, 2001. Thank you. Moving forward with the agenda, I'd like to move forward under new business. I'd like to go out of order tonight as we have back-to-back petitions. I'd like to bring forward ZB 2017-38 for a special permit of Barlow Signs at 661 Rogers Street. The Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application prepared by Barlow Signs on behalf of Hogan Tire. The applicant is seeking a special permit for the internal illumination of a freestanding sign and a special permit for a sign that includes a changeable electronic message center categorized as a moving sign. The applicant requires 2 special permits pursuant to Section 6.3.4 of the City of Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief that is required. The property is in the Regional Retail Zoning District. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chair. My name is Walter Sullivan. I'm an attorney from Norwell, the Deep South, and it's my pleasure to represent the applicant.
Sir, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I made mention we're going to take the petitions out of order, bringing forward Barlow Signs first. Thank you.
Apologies.
With you get the back-to-back petitions. We figured
Thank
we'd
you. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
bring those guys forward. And moving forward, if you could recognize your name and sign if you're going to speak tonight.
Absolutely, thank you. My name is Craig Moore. I'm with
Thank you.
Barlow Signs on behalf of Hogan Tire. And if you don't mind giving me a moment to set up this display.
Certainly.
Thank you again. As mentioned, my name is Craig Moore. I'm with Barlow Signs on behalf of Hogan Tire located at 661 Rogers Street. Hogan Tire is seeking a special sign permit to replace the existing sign of 80.3 square feet with a manual reader board to a sign that's 73.7 square feet with an electronic message center. The new sign will have no change in height. Our proposal is an upgrade in technology to an existing sign. It is an improvement to a sign that is in need of updating. Our client is looking to freshen up their store, and the proposed changes will provide this long-standing family business easier access to updating their messages and promotions remotely while adding an aesthetic appeal with easier readability. Hogan Tire is located within a commercial area with other electronic signs along the same street, which include a car dealership, insurance company, and bank. Our proposal will not have a negative effect on the neighborhood character or the environment. I've spoken to the business owner in length, and he is looking to have a clean display, nothing flashy or distracting. This would also give the business the opportunity to update the messages remotely for consistency along other stores. With that said, I believe that the images were sent to you, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much. Moving forward to public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of the petition? In opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Bring forward to the board for questions. Opening up, Dennis.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a couple questions about the plan that was submitted, and also what kind of messages we're putting on this this new sign panel, but I think that in general, the fact that you're decreasing the scale of the sign is a great one. You're going from over 14 feet to 11, and you're decreasing the other piece. So I think in general, we're going in the right direction, and I think that it really actually, I think, has probably better visibility by doing that. Even the graphics seem much crisper, so I think in general, it's a big improvement. What are we going to be looking at on this graphic? Is it like a TV commercial kind of thing going on here, or is it stills that are going to be every,
Well,
30 seconds changing, or what exactly is going to be on it?
That's a good question, because right now, they're using the current manual reader board as a display to advertise maybe a sale on brakes or tires or some sort of service. In that image, that display is static, so it stays up there until someone else can get out and change or update the message. This would give the flexibility to make different slides. So, for instance, you can have one service about tires come in, fade in, and be present for several minutes, and then that could fade out and go to another service. Maybe they're having a sale on brakes. So that would allow different messages, pretty much doing the same thing that they're doing now, but it's electronic. A couple of things that you can note is some of the images is, for example, this one says 4 tires and a line. When you have a manual reader board, you're limited to the text size and how many letters you could fit on a line. Being able to control it electronically, you could shrink the text or enlarge the text to fit it proportionally, and that's really what they're trying to take advantage of.
So you mentioned that there'd be a message that would be on the board for a period of time before it goes to another message. Is there an interval that we're looking to approve tonight, or is it just the idea of it? I mean, I'm a little worried about it, because I think that if it's like a TV commercial kind of thing going on there, it'll be very distracting.
Understandable. And again, as I spoke to the business owner about this type of sign, the type of advertisement that would occur on this, he's not looking to cause something, a distraction, or be flashy. He's more or less just trying to take advantage of what he has today. So there would be a transition period between each. I don't have numbers whether you're looking for a 30-second or a 60-second transition. We'd be open to staying consistent with maybe some other businesses that are in the area, or again, like I said, open to suggestions on that.
Great, because that's exactly what I think. I would propose to my fellow board members that we talk about a interval minimum of maybe 30 seconds. And I'd just like to hear how my other board members feel about that. But I think a condition saying that the message be changed no sooner than 30 seconds, for instance. All right. And I think, Patrick, have we approved a sign like this before? I seem to remember one, but I'm not sure where we did that.
Not that I'm
On
aware of.
Middlesex Street, or, no?
Has like a fading in and out.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we had a condition on something like that before and how it turned out. All right,
Not really sure.
it's been a while, yeah, all right,
You're right.
all right. Well, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I'm generally in favor of the petition, the sign. I do like the layout of the sign and the closing the width of it. And I would agree with Dennis that there's got to be some interval things with regards to the sign below. I'm not familiar if we've done this before. I know we have billboards that, the electronic billboards that are facing the highway that do those, but something for a business like this, I want to try to keep it will fit in with the commercialization of the neighborhood, but I think, as you saw, I'm sure you saw from DPD's comments, there might be some fear of other businesses coming and wanting to do the same thing, which I would imagine that might be coming down the pike too, as long as technology keeps growing and the signs keep getting thing. But as long as you're willing to work with DPD, and again, if we can set some sort of intervals as far as how often the thing changes. And I mean, but generally speaking, I'm in favor of the petition, so I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also am generally in favor of the petition. I have a couple of questions. The first one is for Patrick, actually. Patrick, do you know if there's an industry standard, you know, as far as safety is concerned, for how often these signs might turn over, or is there none?
I don't, I know the transportation engineer said that he didn't have any issues. I would think that that would come up then, or I hope that they would, but I don't know if there's an industry standard, to be honest.
I like the updated signage as well. The old signage, Hogan Tire and Auto Service Centers, is just kind of a lot of worded, you know, a lot of text for a sign. So I like the new design. It's simpler. I also have always hated those hand operated, so to speak, signs, because there's always some letters get lost and a number is used to replace a letter, and they end up looking messy and some fall off the sign. So I like the idea of going to this electronic sign. And again, in regard to the city's comments about this sort of setting a trend on the street or just in commercial districts, that's really something that the city would have to address through the council updating the zoning code. So I'm not going to, you know, make you responsible for, you know, starting this sort of domino effect where everyone wants to have a sign like yours. So I'm in favor of the application. The only thing I might add, and hearing from other members, is deciding when the sign would be shut off at night and when it would come on in the morning, and whether or not, I don't think we would allow it to be lit 24 hours. So I'm going to just throw that out there. I forget what we usually use, an hour or two after closing, or dusk to dawn, depending upon the season. But so that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Man?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. This application looks good to me. It fits in with the regional retail zone district that it's in. And I'm also in favor of Mr. McCarthy's condition, whether it be a 30-second interval or 60-second interval message change from one kind of message to another. So overall, I think this is a good package. Wish you the very best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Van. You heard the concerns of the board. Mr. McCarthy is seeking a condition of a 30-second interval. I know on that thoroughfare there is one other reader board up at the corner, and I think it is a 30-second interval. As you sit there at the light, you can see how it works. We also, in past, we have always set precedents on lighting. I believe it's 1 hour after closing. Is that what we've done in the past, Patrick? Between dusk and dawn. So if you're okay with those two conditions moving forward, one, to keep the intervals no greater than 30 seconds, no less than 30 seconds, and have the reader board off in conjunction with the lighting 1 hour after closing, if those are suitable.
Okay. I think we're good with those terms, and as you're considering this, because I know this is fairly new to you and the board, with approving these electronic signs, is taking into consideration the line of sight and how fast traffic is passing, in order to get maybe one or two messages up in front of a consumer as they pass by.
Perhaps in that line, do you have any experience in, I'm sure you have these reader boards other way, what is the normal interval length?
Well,
Industry average, say.
yeah, absolutely.
Hi, good evening. Ed Hogan from Hogan Tire. One thing I can tell you is the interval on like a billboard that you'd see on 93 or 128 is 7 seconds. So as you're driving by, generally they look for one person to see it rotate once. The obvious reason for that is that people notice it. You know, if it's static, you're less apt to notice it. So, and the question I had was with regard to the lighting. Were we just specifically talking about the reader do you call it, reader board, right?
Reader board.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Electronic message center.
Sometimes, typically, it's conditioned with the internal illumination as well, just in
Right.
general, so I don't know if you mean that as well.
Mike, in regards to, clerk, in regards to the hours of operation?
Well, actually, through you, Mr. Chairman, what are your hours of operation?
7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. But normally the lights are on until, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say into the evening, you know, into like a typical sign when you're driving down the highway, 10 o'clock or so. You know, they're not on all night, but they're on into the evening.
We have generally in the past have gone from dusk to dawn, from dawn to dusk, I'm sorry, or 1 hour after closing.
Okay.
We could remain, if the board is open, what the average is on that entire thoroughfare. I think I drive down that constantly. I think I would be open to no later than 1 hour after the latest company on that road, which would, excluding the 24-hour drive-throughs. So, Mr. McCarthy or Mr. Pellier, if you will reserve a time, is it 11?
Yeah,
11 p.m.?
I think it should be before midnight, so 11 makes sense to me too, yeah.
Mike?
No, that's fine. I think as long as we make it clear to the petitioner, if we do want to allow it to be left on till 10 or 11 at night, that's fine with me. I was thinking too, from dawn to dusk, obviously in the wintertime, dusk isn't until 8:30, or in the summer, it's not until maybe 8 or 9 at night. But if we want to just condition the same time every night, that's whatever the board wants.
Is that suitable to you?
Yep, that's suitable, yes, thank you.
All right, so the second condition will be no later than 11 p.m.
Thank you.
for the reader board itself. I also, I would also like to bring to the petition, I think, under these circumstances with, as far as my memory serves, this is our real first reader board. I'd like to have a 6-month administrative review, just to make sure that that those times are fair to both, your business, and the city and the zoning ordinance. So if you don't mind coming back in 6 months for administrative review, you'll be,
Yeah, thank you.
we'll make sure we get you in and out as well, so that way we can make sure that interval is working all around.
Great, thank
We
you.
don't want to have any detriment to your business, and we don't want to set a precedent going forward as we move. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not to belabor the point, but the 7 seconds that you mentioned about the message boards that you see on 93, obviously cars, other than during rush hour, are traveling the speed limit or maybe slightly above, so that's why maybe the 7 seconds work. So would you think that you would need more time or more turnover of signage on 38 where people are going 30 or 40 miles an hour, or less time?
You would think that as you're going slower that you'd need more turnover, right? But I don't think, you also have to allow time for somebody to read it. This is a much smaller message as well, but yeah, I mean, if we tried 10 seconds and see how that works, if you're driving down the road, you might see it change once. Unless you're at a stoplight, you might see it changed a few times, but what we're not gonna have is constant motion like a movie, It'll change to the new message and then be static until it changes to the next message.
Okay, so, I think we decided, or we may have decided as a board, that we'll go with the 7 seconds, and then the review will be both on the evening, the lighting, after hours, and the 7 seconds. Is that?
I agree with that. Dennis?
I do too. Just got a quick one. Like, how many messages do you think you're going to be going through in a regular, constant basis? I know because the highway ones, they have several of them, probably like 10, 11.
Yeah, 7 to 10, something like that.
So, you're going to, as a business, you're anticipating having that many messages going through the board, or is that like, or is it just like
Sometimes
three or
there
four?
might be 10, but the same message might be in that 10 rotation a couple of times, you know? So there may only actually be 5 or 6 messages, but, you know, they don't necessarily always cycle in the same order, so.
Okay. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be opposed to that, I guess, 7 seconds, and then try it out, and in 6 months, see how we're going. The one other question I did have that surprisingly no one on the board brought up, and it's always come up with these sign messages, LED lighting?
Is it LED lighting?
Yes, it is.
Is that for both the regular, the illuminated and the message board, or?
Both signs will be a LED lit.
Okay.
That's correct.
Normally when these signs come before, someone's
No,
gotta-
it's a common practice nowadays with
I'm actually surprised that
longevity.
Mr. McCarthy didn't bring it up right away. Like, so. All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Any questions or concerns from the petitioner? Those 3 now, we have 3 separate conditions, and the clerk will read them into the record. No further comments? May I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve ZB 2017-38, special permit for Barlow Signs for the property, the Hogan Tire property at 661 Rogers Street. The petition is, the applicant is seeking a special permit for the internal illumination of a freestanding sign and a special permit for a sign that includes a changeable electronic message center, categorized as a moving sign. The applicant requires the 2 special permits pursuant to Section 6.3.4 of the City of Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief that is required, with the following 3 conditions. The first condition is that the minimum interval of, we will set a minimum interval of 7 seconds between any message update. Number 2, based on hours of operation, the signage may remain lit no later than 11 p.m. And third, a 6-month administrative review.
May I have a second?
Second the motion.
A roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Palia,
Approved with conditions.
Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy.
Approve with conditions.
Patrick, one vote has sufficed for the special permits for this. Okay. Okay. That being said, may I have a motion for a special permit?
So through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve ZB 2017-38 for the second special permit request for, let's see, the changeable electronic message center with the previously mentioned conditions.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions?
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Palia,
Approved with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy.
Approve with conditions.
Thank you. Congratulations, sir. You've
Thank you,
been
gentlemen.
approved. Wish you the best of luck over there.
Thank
See
you very
in
much.
6 months.
See you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Moving forward, new business, bring forward ZB 2017-36 for a special permit. The applicant is Walter Sullivan, 345 Market Street. The Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by Walter Sullivan on behalf of Sally Pham for a special permit approval located at 345 and 351 Market Street in the Urban Mixed-Use Zoning District. The applicant is proposing a restaurant and coffee shop. The applicant is seeking a special permit for each location, 345 Market Street and 351 Market Street under Section 6.1.5.5 for parking reduction for a restaurant use in the UMU district and any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance. Mr. Sullivan?
Good evening.
Good
Again,
evening.
for the record, I'm Walter Sullivan. I'm an
Thank you.
attorney representing the applicant Sally Maroney, who's here with me. Sally is a Lowell resident and a graduate of UMass Lowell. With me also is the project engineer, Huji Faja. We are seeking a special permit so that the applicant can locate a cafe of 600 square feet at 345 Market Street and a restaurant at 351, and that space contains 1,200 square feet. The special permit obviously is related to parking. We are seeking to supplement our application because we got comments from the engineer here with the city and also from Mr. Burns to eliminate some proposed parking to make that an outdoor seating cafe. There is metered parking in front. The property is accessible, obviously, to public transportation. We think it's a better business plan. And I'll have Hushi address that with the updated plans. The 6 criteria for special permit we feel we well meet. I won't go into detail, but they are set out in the supplement in the application materials. The applicant intends to employ Lowell residents. It does seem to be a use that's consistent with the area, the district, and also the historic district. I would ask the engineer to take you through the revised plan if he would give us a few minutes of his time, just to show what's been updated and then address any questions you have.
Thank you.
Good evening. Sorry. Good evening. My name is Hushmand Afshar from Taj Engineering here in Lowell. Last year, when we were applying for the general remodeling and construction permit and going through the process with the Historical Commission, they asked for a site plan in addition to the exterior look, historical look of the building, and so on and so forth. So it was a long and lengthy process, but we went through it, we got the permit, and alongside with that, a site plan was submitted, which was the previous site plan, previous to this one that you have in your hand right now, which showed those 8 to 15 and then 1 to 7 parking, which was sort of, well, actually, not sort of, but which was actually grandfathered. It has been there always. And at that time, in talking to the city engineer and traffic engineer and the rest of the, permit process, those who were involved, they permitted the use of those existing parkings at that time. But based on all that, and that, the previous site plan, so the general permit for construction and remodeling was issued, and the construction started. However, as a result of the recent submission, there was a request by the city, the Community Development Department, to convert that to outdoor seating, which the applicant found it very feasible, agreed to, and as a result, the current plan, which is in front of you, was prepared, revised and prepared. The general layout is pretty much what the city Community Development Department has proposed. There will be a ornamental 3-foot-high fencing all around the sitting area. Pretty much will match what is used by the other restaurant and such facilities in the downtown area. And then within that fenced area, there will be tables with 4 seats and 2 seats as shown. As a result, obviously, the front parking, which has been there forever, I guess, will be eliminated and converted into that outdoor seating area as shown on this revised plan. The remaining parking in the back will remain as it is, the 7 parkings. Parking number 1 to 7, those stalls, spaces will remain as is.
Thank you. Anything further at this time, Council?
This time, but we would be pleased to answer any questions from the committee.
Thank you. That being said, we're moving forward with the public hearing portion. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open it up to board. Van?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I think this is a good project. That building or that lot, it's been vacant for quite a few years, I think. So there's been no real use out of it. I'm excited to see that this brand new kind of fusion of a restaurant / coffee shop there. And I also think this is a great addition, eliminating that front parking area and making outdoor seating. So overall, I think this is a good project, and I wish the applicant the very best of luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with what Van just said. Not only was this site vacant, but it was an eyesore for quite some time when there was a market and a small boutique store that had closed probably almost 10 years ago, and the building was in disrepair. So the work that's been done so far, it looks great, and I think it will be a great addition to that corner of downtown, or the edge of downtown. I do have a couple of questions about the parking. I appreciate the applicant working with DPD to, I guess, eliminate what was a set of grandfathered parking spaces. That was going to be one of my questions, how we ever allowed this non-conforming curb cut, because it's 8 spaces wide. So it's good that you decided to work with DPD to eliminate that. The 7 spaces that you own that run along the Worthen House Cafe, I can see an issue with other businesses or even residents who live on the upper floors over this property or the property next door using those spaces. I'm wondering how you might police their use, so to speak.
Well, cooperatively, they're written into our lease by the owner. They're designated for my client. So, we're going to work with them first and make sure. There's going to be, I think, a learning curve where they're going to have to understand those are designated for us. As you've probably seen, the hours are pretty intensive. Ms. Pham intends to operate at least the coffee shop from 7 to 7 and then the restaurant till 10 at night. So I think they'll be occupied. But she's going to work with everybody in the area.
I'm sorry, thank you. The other question I had about the new arrangement, I'm familiar with the area downtown where really what the businesses have is they spill over onto the city right of way, and they get a special permit for a certain part of the season for outdoor seating. Your seating area will not be on, it will be entirely on your property. But my concern is that in the late fall, winter, early spring, the chances of a lot of people having a cup of coffee or dinner outside will be pretty slim, and I'm wondering, would the entire sidewalk or not the sidewalk, but the seating area be rolled up and then encourage people not intentionally to start using it as a parking area again in the wintertime? Or I'm wondering how that would be managed.
Well, we would have to take it upon ourselves to let it be known to people in the winter months that it's still not available for parking, and that certainly would be an appropriate condition. We view this as a positive, that it allows us, obviously, more space, so we're going to use it as much as we can. But certainly as a condition, I think it would be appropriate to put it on us to, make sure that we're going to be there as much as anybody to keep people out of there.
No, and I agree. I see it as a positive, too. Not only the applicant working with the city to make a change, a fairly major change, because you're losing 7 or 8 parking spaces, but I'm just knowing Lowell residents and the search for parking, especially in the wintertime. If, you know, if you sort of, even if you just move your, you know, your fencing and your landscaping close to the building enough for people to start jamming their cars up there. But that's something I think I'll probably add a condition that we also, like we did with the previous applicant, maybe have a 6-month review after the business is open, or try to time the review so that we see what happens in the wintertime.
I think that makes sense, and maybe we come back in the spring, maybe 8 months, if that's amenable to the board. That would be fine with us.
So that's all I had, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Sean?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for providing the updated plans on this, and I'm generally, you know, in favor of the providing the outdoor seating. My concerns are, though, with the parking. A couple things came to mind is when you eliminated the parking out front and put in the seating, you took out a handicap spot, and there's nothing located in the back to accommodate for that. And certainly you would need to update the plans to note that there's got to be some handicap spot available on the back. Also, I think it would be a good idea to have some sort of signage, probably both in the front and maybe off of Worthing Street, just to let people know that the parking there is for Ms. Pham's business and Ms. Pham's business only, to try to make sure to keep people out of there. Plus, also, if she has any, you know, I'm sure her customers will be looking for parking, and they'll be easily able to find it. But in general, though, I really like the idea. I'm not too concerned about the parking because there is a city lot right across the street. I think another thing to be concerned about as well, and I know you mentioned that Ms. Pham's going to be hiring employees from Lowell residents or what, but it doesn't seem there's going to be too many employees that'll be there many times, but I think maybe try to encourage them to maybe park, if they have to park at the city lot across the street.
That is part of the business plan, to have them park off-site where we are still limited.
Yeah.
So again, I think that would be an appropriate condition.
Okay. But otherwise, yeah, and I'm not too concerned about the wintertime, you know, rolling up. Yeah, you should be telling people not to park there. I see you're going to have some tree planters out kind of blocking the area anyways, and I presume if they're going to stay there through the course of the winter, then that should probably stop people from trying to park in the area. But otherwise, it's a great plan, and I wish you the best of luck. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Dennis?
Through Mr. Chairman, I had a couple comments, but I think this is a great plan, and I am thrilled that this is happening at this location because it's sorely needed, and it's a great location, so I'm happy for you. So the current sidewalk and curb are flush with the pavement, and so if we do a seating area, we're really not providing the seating area, other than this ornamental fence, any kind of protective barrier from traffic. So the city sidewalk there and curb would allow cars to potentially roll right into the seating area. So I see that as a safety concern, as well as the winter concern that they can actually use that in the winter. So I think we could maybe have a condition that you would work with DPD to come up with some kind of protective safety bollard and or curbing to allow for that seating to be safely installed. All right. Let's see, is that all I had? Oh, the ratio for the parking. So there was a comment that we received that the site plan that was submitted had a ratio stating the ratio would be changed from 1 to 100 to 1 to 900 square feet. And has that been revised?
I thought the application said 1 to 500.
That's what is stated for the special permit, but I think
Right,
the
and
site
so
plan.
now, right.
So we're going to be updating the site plan then to reflect, so, and a condition that you would be providing an updated site plan to reflect the correct ratio of 1 per 500?
We will.
Say it again?
That's on the plan, I think, that we just provided, but I can update the application as well.
The new plan that was just provided is dated 9/11/2017, so we could refer to this plan then? Okay, so maybe as a condition that we will adopt the site plan submitted today, dated 9/11/2017. Okay, great. That's all I had, and I really am thrilled that this is happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Any other comments by Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was the other question I was searching for earlier, the issue around safety that, and again, I realize that you, on behalf of the applicant, or the applicant, worked with the recommendation from DPD. So I'm actually wondering, Patrick, and you may not be able to answer this, but how or why the, I guess, acting city engineer and transportation engineer, although they worked on a compromise that, because I really see the safety issue as something that if the city's not going to allow the applicant to continue with the grandfathered parking, that maybe the city should work with the applicant, I guess really on the cost or the installation of some sort of permanent barrier.
So there is a preliminary discussion to arranging the new parking configuration in the Cardinal O'Connell Parkway area, which would include basically metered spaces, parallel parking along this, what would be proposed as the outdoor seating area. So the curb would be raised, they would become metered spaces, and it would prevent. Yeah, so it's a plan, and it hasn't been officially set in stone yet, but that's kind of the ultimate goal.
Well, that would certainly solve the problem. I wish you mentioned it earlier. I wouldn't have kept talking and talking about it. No, I'm just kidding, Patrick. But no, the idea that they would basically make that one section, which really looks out of place, people driving over the curb to park there in the old days, if the curb was raised again and there were 2 or 3 metered spaces there, it would fit with the whole area, the whole circle, so to speak. So I guess that sort of answers, in the long term, the issue of safety. I'm wondering, my other question too that I forgot to ask is when you anticipate potentially, being ready to be up and running. I'm sure you'd like to open tonight after the meeting, but you might need a little more time. So I guess I'm not sure what to do what else to say about the safety issue. But maybe if we find out that we're looking at the spring for opening, that maybe that's something that the city would accelerate, but.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, actually, Mr. Clerk brought up a very good point. If you make an observation out there, you will see that the ramp and the sidewalk, which is all right from the right-of-way within the public road, is brand new. It's very new. It was done very recently, and it is all ramped up from the travelway onto the existing or current parking lot, if you may, or the parking spaces. So the idea of converting this ramp, since we are not using it, the owner is not going to use it as a parking area, into a standard 6-inch curb, which is actually the city standards, vertical curb with 6-inch reveal, is an excellent idea, and the access to the back view remains as it is. That way, we were thinking of installing bollards right at the right-of-way on our property, right on the right-of-way at our property. But again, as you know, those are not the most good-looking things, in front of the you know, historically upgraded restaurant. So I'm very happy to hear that city has such a plan, converting that area of the wide ramp into a standard, you know, curbing travel way. Thanks.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just add, I think it won't be a condition, but to try to maintain contact with Patrick, as I'm sure you will, and maybe and I agree with you, the bollards that you typically see are, you know, they'll be painted yellow or they'll be cracked because people back into them or drive into them, and they're very quickly an eyesore. But to try to time that to be the last thing that you add to this project, and maybe Patrick can keep you up to date on how quickly the city really plans to convert that section back into a parking area, I guess. But
Yeah, sure.
but I don't know if we're going to condition, I guess it's up to you, Mr. Chairman, but
I just want to make sure that that project is not going to be charged to the applicant, because it is not really, it has been there, and it is brand new. The city did it, and really, I don't think it is the applicant's responsibility now to convert that ramp into a curb roadway, so.
yeah, and that's also why I'm mentioning,
Right.
I would rather not see you incur any additional costs to put bollards in if a week after the bollards are installed and you open your restaurant and coffee shop, and then the city's out there digging up the curb and putting in new parking meters after you've incurred that expense. Sure. I don't think the city would charge you for the for lifting the curb and putting the parking spaces in. But you never know these days. There's revenue enhancement everywhere, so.
We'd be happy to coordinate our efforts with the DPW and work with them.
Great, any other comments or concerns from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question through you, sir, to Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, the property right now, how they're converting the parking spot or the parking lot space in front into an outdoor seating arrangement, and they're getting rid of the handicap spot. Is that a requirement that they need a handicap spot? Because I know some of the other restaurants, kind of on Merrimack and on that, you know what I mean, it doesn't have like a handicap spot because there's off-street parking and city garages.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, because I know that, right, like restaurants downtown, there's spaces, and they don't have designated handicap. That's a good question for the transportation engineer. I'm not sure what the requirement would be.
And I definitely understand Mr. Callahan's concern with like handicap parking. You definitely need it. I'm not sure there's if it's permittable, or we should put the burden on the applicant on their lot if there's one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if they don't have to have one.
Right.
It's up to the board.
Thanks, Van. Any other comments?
Yeah, I understand my obvious concern. She has the spaces there. Why not designate one for a handicap spot if necessary? But if you're going to work, maybe condition work with the transportation department to see if that's accessible. What the feasibility is on that. That's fine by me. That's just more my preference, because the spots are there. Why not designate it as opposed to having someone cross the street from the public lot across the street? So that's just my concern. And I would also try to, if we could, again, I don't know if it's the board, but again, the condition about having signage put up about where to park on both Cardinal O'Connor and Worthing Street, if feasible. That's something I would probably condition on that as well. So, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments by the board?
The project engineer is saying to me, he's not sure if it's feasible for the applicant to squeeze in a handicap space. So he's wondering if we could make it, provided that it is achievable. Where we are relying upon public parking as well, the metered parking in the lots, we're not sure that it's really a requirement. the engineer's telling me he's not sure he can get it into the designated spaces. So if it could be conditional, we would appreciate that.
Yeah, again, I'll just leave it as, I'll leave it to you just to speak with the transportation department, and I'm just saying what my preference would be, but otherwise, I mean, if the transportation department, and in conjunction with your engineer, says that it's not necessary, that's fine, I'll leave it at their discretion, but that's just my preference, but again, I'm not gonna,
Thank you.
I'm not gonna hold you to, I'm not gonna hold you to
If we can
this.
accommodate it, we will.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by the board? Any other comments or concerns, Counselor?
None.
So currently, we have 4 conditions in front of us. Just a quick review would be the ones we discussed: administrative review, the handicap with transportation, signage, and adopting your site plan. The clerk will read those into the record. Oh, one more question from Mike.
In regard to the administrative review, we started to discuss when the anticipated opening would be. So if we want to review the winter conditions, but the review comes in the summer, it would be hard to really review whether people are parking there when the sidewalk seating is closed, so.
The applicant is hoping to open in January. I know that there was some allusion to spring. I don't know if that's going to give you enough time to really judge the winter. So whatever the board pleases.
Patrick, do we have the capability to change the days on an administrative review? Could we do a 60-day administrative review?
Yeah,
We could, okay.
I do.
Would you be open to that? That'll
Sure.
give us, I'm hopeful there'll be no snow within that 60-day time frame, and we have a relatively quiet winter, but to the board's, direction, they'd like to just take
Okay.
a look at that.
That's fine.
So we'll do a 60-day administrative review upon opening. And you'll be working with transportation and the like, so. Any
Absolutely.
other comments or concerns at this time? So that being said, may I have a motion, please?
Just a quick question, Patrick. So I should read the special permit for 345 separate from 351, so it'll be two
Right,
votes?
because it's the 2 addresses, so, yeah.
But it's
special
the
permit for
same
each.
request for each one, the
Right.
reduction in parking?
Yep.
With conditions, okay.
Yep.
Just as it relates to the petition, because you are 345, 351, they're 2 separate petitions, so we'll go through the vote for the first location, address location, have a roll call, and then we'll open it up for your second petition and move forward in that light. Fair enough, Counsel?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. That being said, may I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve ZB 2017-36, a special permit for the applicant Walter Sullivan for the property located at 345 Market Street. The special permit is for a reduction in parking under section 6.1.5.5 for restaurant use in the UMU district with the following conditions. First condition is that based on the anticipated date of opening, a 60-day review will be done by the planning office. The second condition is to adopt the site plan presented this evening and dated 9/11/17. The third condition is to work with the DPD to review the feasibility of posting parking signs on or near the new business to note that the parking is for the cafe and restaurant only. And four, also to work with the planning office, if feasible, to create a handicap parking space from the 7 remaining spaces.
May I have a second, please?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck, Member Valia,
Approved with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy.
Approve with conditions.
Counselor, you've been approved with conditions. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We have to do 351.
Correct. That being said, moving on to the next portion of our agenda. Under new business, ZB 2017-37, a special permit, Walter Sullivan, 351 Market Street. The Lowell Zoning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by Walter Sullivan on behalf of Sally Pham for a special permit approval located at 345, 351 Market Street in Urban Mixed Use Zoning District. The applicant is proposing a restaurant and coffee shop. The applicant is seeking a special permit for each location, 345 Market Street, 351 Market Street, under section 6.1.5.5 for a parking reduction for a restaurant use in the UMU district and any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance. Counselor.
Well, the same arguments we've already made, obviously, we think support this application. I can go into more detail if need be.
Need not be, sir. We'll go with what's on the record as a matter of the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
That being said, I'd like to open up the public portion of the hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone speaking in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up the board for comments. Mike?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to approve, I'm in favor of the special permit and conditions that we previously approved for 345 Market Street.
Thank you. Sean?
Ditto.
And Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I couldn't have said it better myself, Mike. I agree 100%. We'll follow what we did on 345. Thank you.
Thank you. Van?
I agree with my colleagues, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Just like to move forward and say to Ms. Sally Pham, I think it's quite admirable that you're young and you have a vision in front of you, and you're a graduate of the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. You're staying here in the city. You're opening a business. You're taking a section of the city that is downtrodden, and you seem very energetic and excited moving forward with this. So I want to wish you a lot of success in your future endeavor. With that being said, may I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve ZB 2017-37, which is a special permit for Walter Sullivan for the property located at 351 Market Street. The special permit is for reduction in parking for a restaurant and coffee shop located at 345 Market Street under section 6.1.55 of the zoning code with the four conditions that were previously read into the record for 345 Market Street.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve with conditions.
Member Palia,
Approved with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy.
Approve with conditions.
Counselor, Ms. Pham, you've been approved unanimously from both petitions. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Take care. Moving forward, under other business, we have none. That being said, we have any handouts for our next meeting?
Yes, I have two handouts for the October 12th meeting. It looks like we have no petitions for the next meeting that was scheduled, which was for September 25th. Yes. If my memory serves correctly, I think there's nothing on the agenda for those.
So if we could just follow up whether anything is pending,
Yep.
continuances or like, and just do the correspondence to the board whether we will hold a meeting or not.
Sure.
Any other comments or concerns? That being said, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second motion.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.